So Israel, Russia, Denmark, the president hitting a lot of hot spots today. Let's bring in two former members of Congress to break it down. Democrat from Ohio, Dennis Kucinich, and Republican from Utah, Jason Chaffetz, also a Fox News contributor whose newest book, Power Grab, is out September 3rd. Gentlemen, welcome to you both.
Good to be with you.
Thank you.
All right, as members on the Hill, you all have dealt with a lot of this foreign policy back and forth the president's now engaged in. I want to play, or first of all, let me read something from House Majority Leader, Democrat Steny Hoyer. He says today, of the president talking about loyalty of Jewish voters. He said it's a version of the vile anti-Semitic attack that for centuries has demanded that Jewish people demonstrate some kind of quid pro quo in return for being considered loyal citizens. Jason.
I think the president has made a very good point about policy. And let's not try to distinguish this and put this in some other camp. On policy, Donald Trump has been spectacular. He's done what all the recent presidents have promised in moving the embassy to Jerusalem. He's dealt with the Golan Heights situation. He has honored Israel. That's what we want out of an American president. And when you come on the heels of Barack Obama, who was doing everything they could to weaken Israel, I think the president actually has a good point that people, when they look at this, if you are pro-Israel and you care about Israel, then you obviously are going to support Donald Trump and his policy positions.
All right, so here is what the president said today about the so-called squad. He's referring to them as AOC +3.
If you look at what they say, they are so bad for Israel. They are so bad for Jewish people. Anybody that votes for a Democrat, they're voting for that. That's the face of your party, and that's very bad for Israel.
Dennis, does this create a little bit of a conundrum for Democrats? These members are very popular, very vocal. They have enormous social media followings. But when the president comes out and says, listen, they've taken positions that American voters are going to have to decide whether that's them or not, and the Democrat Party is going to have to decide, what do you make of that?
Well, I see it more as a political assessment on the part of the president. But the reality is that the Democratic Party have been 100%, well, 99% solidly behind Israel. And there really isn't that much difference between Democrats and Republicans in Congress on the issue, with the exception of some members. I do want to point out this isn't a question of whether you're a friend of Israel. Israel has a lot of friends in Congress. The question is, are we going to have a real look at the issues that are confronting the Palestinians? We can't sweep those aside while we're saying we're friends of Israel. You can be a friend of Israel's, but also concerned about conditions in Gaza and the West Bank, about security issues, about jobs, about the Great March that's happening at this time. There are issues that have to be dealt with and cannot be ignored, period. But just because there's a few members of Congress who have criticized Israel doesn't mean that they speak for the rest of the Democratic Party.
Well, and there's much to discuss there. As we often talk about, Israel lives in one of the worst neighborhoods in the world and often are facing incoming attacks from Hamas and others. So it's a very complicated situation. I want to ask you both quickly about Russia to weigh in on this today. The president's taking a lot of heat for saying, hey, let's bring it back into the G7, make it back into the G8. But he explained that today. Here's his explanation.
We spend a lot of time talking about Russia at those meetings, and they're not there. I think it would be a good thing if Russia were there, so we can speak directly.
Okay, quick reaction from you both. Jason, then Dennis.
I do think dialogue is good, but you cannot forget about Crimea, and you cannot forget what the Russians did in the state of Georgia, taking over roughly 25% of that country. Until Russia makes it right on both of those, you're going to have hardline people, including myself, who find it very hard to do business with Mr. Putin.
Dennis?
We have to normalize relations with Russia. The whole world's security depends on it. We need a new INF treaty. We have to start talking about ending the sanctions. We've got to work together with Russia, and we certainly need Russia in the it should be the G8. So on this one, I agree with President Trump.
Look at that. Okay, gentlemen. Great to have two former members of Congress from both sides of the aisle with us tonight. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.